My hands were shaking as I stood outside the restaurant window on Thanksgiving evening, staring at my phone. The text read, "We've decided. Emily gets the restaurant. You can stay on as assistant manager if you want." Through the frosted glass, I watched my sister hug our parents, holding up the keys to the place I'd built for 12 years. Every 70-hour week, every recipe I'd perfected, every renovation I'd sweated through meant nothing. Emily finished culinary school 6 months ago. 6 months. The favoritism had always been there, whispered in every family dinner, visible in every proud smile directed her way instead of mine. But tonight it became permanent. I turned away from that window and made a decision that would change everything. 2 weeks before that Thanksgiving betrayal, I'd prepared what I thought would be my moment. The family meeting was scheduled for 11 at night, after we closed the restaurant. I'd spent 3 months researching, used $3,800 of my own savings for professional market analysis, and created a detailed business plan that would drag our traditional Italian place into the modern era. I arrived early, spreading my materials across the table in the private dining room, charts showing our declining market share, competitor analysis revealing how places with Instagram presence and online ordering were stealing our customers, a complete farm-to-table concept that would honor our Italian roots while embracing what diners actually wanted now. I'd even designed mock-ups of what our social media could look like, projected revenue increases of 30 to 40% within the first year. My parents walked in at 11:15. Mom, Carol, immediately started scrolling through her phone. Dad, Frank, sat down heavily, already looking like he wanted this over with. Then Emily breezed in, her culinary school sweatshirt still pristine, her apron without a single stain. She'd been working at the restaurant for exactly 4 months. I started my presentation. I'd practiced it dozens of times, knew every number, every talking point. I showed them how our lunch crowd had dropped by 22% over the past year, how our dinner reservations were down, how younger customers weren't coming back because we had no online presence, no way to order ahead, nothing that met them where they lived. Dad listened with his arms crossed. Mom kept checking her phone. Emily smirked at me from across the table, making little comments under her breath. That seems expensive. Our customers are older. They don't care about Instagram. This feels risky. I pushed back. I showed them the data. 5 competitors within 3 miles had modernized and were thriving. 2 new places had opened in the past year with concepts similar to what I was proposing, and both had wait lists every weekend. We were bleeding customers to these places, losing ground every month. Dad finally spoke. "That's nice, Damon, but we're traditional. Our customers like things the way they are. They come for the authenticity." "What customers?" I asked. "The ones who are dying off. We need to bring in the next generation or we won't have a restaurant in 5 years. Mom looked up from her phone. "You've always been the idea guy. Emily understands the heart of cooking. She knows what makes a dish special. The heart of cooking." Emily had been cooking professionally for half a year. I'd been in that kitchen since I was 16 years old. I'd worked every station, learned from Dad, created half the menu items we still served. But sure, Emily understood the heart of it. I gathered my materials and left. They didn't try to stop me. 1 week later, I pulled into the restaurant parking lot at 6 in the morning for prep. There was a construction crew outside. New signage was being designed. I walked inside to find Emily excitedly talking to our parents, spreading papers across the same table where I'd presented. "So we'll start with the Instagram account," she was saying. "Build buzz before we launch the new menu. The farm-to-table concept will really resonate with millennials. And the online ordering system will increase our takeout revenue by at least 30%. I stood in the doorway, frozen. Those were my exact words, my exact projections. Mom was beaming. "Emily, this is brilliant. So innovative," Dad nodded. "This is the kind of fresh thinking we need. You really learned something at that culinary school." I walked over. My printed materials were nowhere to be seen. Emily's new documents spread across the table were my presentation, word for word, with her name on them. "That's my plan," I said quietly. "I showed you this exact thing 2 weeks ago." Emily looked at me with wide, innocent eyes. "What?" "No. This is completely different. It's identical. Every single point. The Instagram strategy, the farm-to-table concept, the online ordering. Those are my projections, my research. Dad sighed. Damon, don't be jealous. This is unbecoming. Emily has the culinary training to execute this properly. You had some good ideas, but she has the expertise to make it reality. I gave you the printed copies. She copied everything. Mom's voice turned cold. You've always been competitive with your sister, ever since you were children. She's trying to help the family business, and you're making it about ego. Emily smiled sweetly. Great minds think alike, I guess. I actually started thinking about this months ago in culinary school. We had a whole module on restaurant modernization. I looked at the three of them, my family. They knew. They had to know. But they were choosing to believe her anyway, choosing to erase my work and hand her the credit. I walked out to my truck and sat there for 2 hours. Jake, my best friend, called me back immediately when I texted him. He'd watched me work on that plan for months, had helped me research competitors, had listened to me practice my presentation. You've got to get out of there, he said. They're never going to see what you're worth. He was right. I couldn't work for people who would steal from me, even if they were family, especially because they were family. That night, I went back and found my parents in the office. I quit, I said. 2 weeks' notice, starting now. Dad looked up from the computer. That's probably for the best. You and Emily never got along. This will be better for everyone. That was it. No asking me to reconsider. No acknowledgement of 12 years of work. Just relief that the problem, me, was removing itself. Those final 2 weeks were torture. Emily treated me like a junior line cook, ordering me around, correcting techniques I'd been using for over a decade. She talked about her vision for the restaurant constantly. Mom and Dad discussed my lack of commitment and jealousy issues within my hearing, not even bothering to lower their voices. My last day was a Tuesday. No cake, no thank you, no acknowledgement. I cleaned out my locker and walked to the door. Emily was there, arms crossed. Good luck with whatever you do, she said. Hope you find something you're actually good at. I drove away from that restaurant and didn't look back. 3 months later, in early January, I stood in my own restaurant space for the first time. The lease had taken $42,000 of my savings, everything I'd managed to put away over the years. The space was raw, unfinished, in an upcoming neighborhood on the east side. Young professionals were moving in, new coffee shops opening, the kind of area that could support exactly what I wanted to build. I named it Ember and Oak, modern American cuisine with Italian influences, different enough from my family's place to carve out my own identity. The menu was seasonal, creative, nothing like the red sauce, traditional stuff they served. I was doing this right. For the first month, I did everything myself. 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I designed the menu, negotiated with suppliers, built the website, managed social media, cooked, served, cleaned. Jake helped when he could, shooting photos for Instagram, spreading the word to his network. By February, I'd hired a small team. Marcus was my head chef, a talented guy who'd worked at some of the better places in Portland. Bailey handled front of house, bright and personable, made customers feel welcome. Cole tended bar, creating craft cocktails that complemented the food perfectly. We were small but mighty. The soft opening went better than I'd hoped. 25 covers that first night, nervous energy in the kitchen, but we pulled it off. A local food blogger named Jordan Chen came in during week 2 and wrote a glowing review. Reservations started filling up. Our Instagram followers grew from 200 to 3,000 in a month. By March, we were breaking even. By April, turning a small profit. Every night I closed up, exhausted but satisfied. This was mine. I'd built it without family money, without stealing anyone's ideas, without shortcuts. Just hard work and talent. Late April, I started noticing reservation cancellations. Customers who'd booked 3 weeks out were suddenly calling to cancel. First it was 1 or 2 a week, then 5, then 10. Our Friday and Saturday nights, which had been fully booked, started showing gaps. The negative reviews appeared next. 1-star ratings on every platform. Claims of food poisoning, sanitary issues, rude service. One review said they'd found hair in their food. Another claimed they'd gotten sick for 3 days after eating there. A third said I'd screamed at a customer. All lies. Our kitchen was spotless. Health inspection scores perfect. I'd never raised my voice to a customer in my life. I checked the accounts leaving these reviews. All created within the same week in April. No other reviews, no photos, no history. Fake accounts, obviously, but the damage was done. Potential customers saw the 1-star ratings and went elsewhere. Our revenue dropped 20% in 2 weeks. Then I saw the announcement. Emily's Table, opening in June. I clicked through to the website, and my stomach dropped. The design aesthetic was nearly identical to Ember and Oak. The menu concept, seasonal American with Italian influences. The plating photos on her Instagram looked exactly like mine. She'd copied everything, down to the color scheme and font choices, but she had something I didn't have. The family name, their reputation, their connections, and their money behind her. My landlord called on a Tuesday morning. Damon, I need to talk to you about something. The building's been sold. New owner wants you out in 60 days. What? I have a 3-year lease. There's a clause. New ownership. Significant renovations planned. They can terminate with 60 days notice. I'm sorry. I pulled up the public property records. The building had been purchased by an LLC called Cascade Holdings. I dug deeper, tracing corporate filings, following the paper trail. Cascade Holdings was owned by my father. They'd bought my building to force me out. I called the house. Dad answered. You bought my building, I said. Silence for a moment. Then, business is business, Damon. You chose to compete with family. Did you think there wouldn't be consequences? I'm not competing with Emily. Different neighborhoods, different concept. There's room for both of us. Mom's voice in the background. Put him on speaker. Dad did. Mom spoke, her voice tight. Emily needs this opportunity. She has real talent, real training. You're trying to undermine her before she even opens. This is exactly the kind of jealous behavior we've dealt with your whole life. Emily's voice joined in. She must have been visiting. Maybe you should have stayed working for us. You're not cut out for this, Damon. You never were. I hung up. My hands were shaking again, just like that Thanksgiving night. 60 days. I had to find a new location, move all my equipment, transfer my license, keep my staff employed, maintain customer relationships, all while Emily's Table prepared for its grand opening with unlimited family backing. I looked at every available commercial space in Portland. East Side, West Side, downtown, suburbs. Every single place I found. Every space that might work. Someone made a better offer within days. I'd submit my application, get encouraging responses from landlords, then receive apologetic calls. Someone came in with cash, offered 6 months up front. We had to take it. I started tracing the competing offers. Different LLCs, different names. But when I dug into the corporate structures, they all connected back to the same group of investors. My parents' country club friends. Emily's financial backers. They were systematically outbidding me, shutting me out of every viable location. The fake reviews continued. Our rating dropped to 2.3 stars. Customers stopped coming. Revenue fell 40%. Marcus pulled me aside one evening after service. Hey man, I need to know. Are we going to make it? Because I've got a family, and if this place is closing, I need to start looking. I couldn't promise him anything. Bailey and Cole had the same worried expressions. They'd taken a chance on me, on Ember and Oak, and I was failing them. Emily's Table opened in June, with a massive launch party. Food critics, Instagram influencers, local media. The place was gorgeous, professional photos everywhere online. Her menu featured several dishes that looked suspiciously similar to mine, but elevated, more polished. She had a full staff, an experienced management team, everything I'd been building toward but couldn't afford. I closed Ember and Oak 3 weeks later. The eviction deadline arrived, and I had nowhere to go. I'd failed. May became a desperate blur. I found a perfect new location in the Pearl District, a space that had been a cafe, good bones, the right size. I needed $75,000 for the deposit, moving costs, renovations to meet code. My savings were gone, depleted by months of declining revenue and the costs of fighting to stay afloat. But I had good credit. I'd always paid everything on time, maintained a score above 750. I had 3 months of profitable business records from before the sabotage started. I met with a loan officer at my bank, a woman named Patricia, who seemed genuinely impressed by my business plan. This looks solid, Damon. The location is excellent. Your concept is proven. I don't see any red flags. Should have an answer in 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks felt like forever. I negotiated with the landlord to hold the space, promised I'd have an answer soon. He agreed to wait until June 1st. I started planning the renovation, sketching out the new kitchen layout, dreaming about a fresh start. The call came on a Thursday. Patricia's voice was confused. Damon, I don't understand. Your credit score has dropped to 590. There are multiple late payments reported. A maxed-out credit card you never paid. Collection accounts. I can't approve this loan. That's impossible. I haven't missed any payments. I don't have any cards maxed out. I'm looking at your credit report right now. Discover card. Opened February. Limit of $15,000. Maxed out. 90 days late. 2 personal loans, both showing missed payments. Your debt-to-income ratio is now completely unacceptable. I pulled my own credit report immediately. She was right. Accounts I'd never opened, showing I owed over $30,000 in debts I knew nothing about. My perfect credit history destroyed in 4 months. I filed identity theft reports, disputed every fraudulent account, contacted the creditors. They all wanted police reports, affidavits, documentation. The process would take months. Meanwhile, my credit was ruined. No bank would lend to me now. I had 3 days until the landlord needed an answer about the Pearl District space. I contacted every lending source I could find. Traditional banks, credit unions, alternative lenders, even predatory payday loan places. Everyone said the same thing. Credit score too low, too much outstanding debt, cannot approve. The space went to someone else. Jake had been helping me through all of this, but even he was running out of ideas. We need to figure out who did this, he said. This isn't random identity theft. He hired a private investigator, a guy he knew from college who owed him a favor. Cost me $800 I couldn't afford, but I was desperate for answers. The investigator called me 5 days later. Found your problem. The Discover Card application was filled out using your information, including your social security number. It was mailed from the address of a restaurant, Martino's. That's your family's place, right? Yeah. How did they get my social security number? You ever worked there officially? Payroll, taxes? For 12 years. Then they had it on file. The application has a signature, scanned and printed, compared it to known signatures. Matches your sister Emily's handwriting. She's listed as office manager on the business license. My sister had deliberately destroyed my credit. Opened accounts in my name, maxed them out, never made a payment. Also, I couldn't get funding for a new restaurant. I confronted them. Called the house, got Mom. I know what Emily did. I have proof. What are you talking about? She committed identity theft. Opened credit cards in my name. Destroyed my credit score so I can't get a business loan. I have the documentation. Emily's voice in the background. Let me talk to him. Rustling as the phone changed hands. Damon, I have no idea what you're talking about. I would never do something like that. You must have given your information to someone else. Maybe that investor you were talking to was a scammer. The application came from the restaurant office. Your signature is on the documents. Prove it. Oh wait, you can't, because I didn't do anything. Stop blaming me for your failures. Maybe you're just bad with money. Dad got on the phone. That's enough. If you're accusing your sister of a crime, you can take it to the police. But think carefully, Damon. Do you really want to tear this family apart over your paranoid conspiracy theories? I couldn't file a police report. They were family. The thought of Emily in handcuffs, of my parents testifying, of that whole nightmare playing out publicly, I couldn't do it. So I did nothing. And my credit stayed ruined. Ember and Oak's final day arrived. I had to be out by 5 p.m. My staff had already found other jobs. I'd paid them their final checks, using the last of my business account. Marcus hugged me before he left. "You got screwed, man. Everyone knows it. This wasn't your fault, but it felt like my fault. I should have been smarter, more prepared, more resilient. I should have seen this coming. I packed everything myself. The equipment went into a storage unit I could barely afford. $240 a month I didn't have. Every pot, every pan, every plate represented a dream that had died. I loaded boxes into a borrowed truck until midnight, then returned the keys to the landlord. The cease and desist letter arrived 2 days later. Emily's Table's law firm, a big downtown outfit I could never afford. They claimed I'd copied their concept, stolen their intellectual property, and demanded I not open any restaurant within 25 miles of Portland for 2 years. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't destroying my life. She'd stolen everything from me, and now she was accusing me of theft. I knew the non-compete wasn't enforceable, but fighting it would require lawyers I couldn't afford. The letter alone probably cost them $3,000 to write. To them, to my family, that was nothing. To me, it was impossible. I sat in Jake's spare bedroom that night, looking at my bank account. $3,217 left. That was it. Everything I'd built, gone. Everything I'd saved, gone. My reputation, my credit, my career, all gone. By June, I was living in Jake's spare bedroom full-time, sleeping on an air mattress that slowly deflated every night. My bank account had dropped to $1,800 after paying for storage and my phone bill. I applied for jobs at every restaurant in Portland. The interviews went well. I'd walk in, talk about my experience, my skills, my vision. Managers seemed impressed. Then they'd run background checks, call references, and suddenly the position was filled. I finally got one manager to be honest with me. "Look, Damon, off the record, your sister's people have been calling around. They're saying you stole recipes, treated staff poorly, had health code violations. Nobody wants that drama." I took a job washing dishes at a chain restaurant called Bistro 7 for $12 an hour. The manager there didn't care about references, just needed someone who'd show up. I worked nights, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., scraping plates and loading industrial dishwashers. My hands got raw, my back ached, but I needed the money. The humiliation was crushing. I'd run my own restaurant. I'd created dishes that food bloggers praised. Now I was scrubbing burnt pans while 18-year-old cooks told me I'd missed a spot. Amanda, my girlfriend of 3 years, had been supportive through the restaurant closing. She worked in marketing, came from money. Her parents owned a dental practice. They'd never liked me much. Thought she should be with someone more established, but she'd stuck by me, until she didn't. I noticed her pulling away in July, taking longer to respond to texts, canceling plans, seeming distant when we did see each other. One evening she came to Jake's place. I was exhausted from a dish shift, smelling like bleach and grease. "Damon, we need to talk." I knew what was coming. "Okay, I love you. I do. But I can't do this anymore. You're not the person I fell in love with. You were ambitious, driven, excited about the future. Now you're just angry and stuck. My family destroyed my business, Amanda. They committed fraud. I'm trying to rebuild. It sounds like excuses. Maybe your family was right about you. Maybe you weren't ready to run a restaurant. Maybe you need to accept that and move on to something else. You think they were right? The betrayal hit harder than anything my family had done. I think you're letting this define you. You're choosing to be a victim instead of moving forward. I can't watch you do this to yourself anymore." She left, blocked my number that night. 2 weeks later, I saw on social media that she was dating someone new. Emily had posted photos of them together at Emily's Table. Her new boyfriend was Emily's sous chef. The caption read, "So happy my brother's ex found real love. Sometimes things work out the way they're supposed to." My brother's ex. Not even my name. Just a possession Emily had taken. In late July, Marcus called. My former head chef, the one who'd been worried about his family, about job security. I met him at a coffee shop, hoping maybe he had good news. Maybe he knew of a job opportunity. "I need to tell you something," he said. He looked guilty, couldn't meet my eyes. "Emily offered me head chef at her place. Double the salary you were paying me. I took it." "Okay." I kept my voice neutral. He needed the job. I understood. That's not all. Cole and Bailey worked there too. Server and bar manager. And Damon. Man, they brought your recipes. All of them. The rosemary lamb, the black garlic reduction, the summer vegetable risotto. Everything. It's on Emily's menu now. The recipes I'd spent years perfecting. The dishes that represented my style, my vision, my technique. My signature lamb dish, the one I'd created for my grandmother's 75th birthday, was now Emily's specialty. "She offered us something you couldn't," Marcus continued. "Stability, benefits, real money. I have a 2-year-old daughter. I'm sorry. Don't apologize for taking care of your family. I meant it. But it still hurt. She's telling everyone she created those dishes. Taking credit for your work. Of course she was. Why would this be any different?" August arrived with a newspaper feature. Portland Monthly ran a cover story. Culinary genius. How Emily Martin built Portland's hottest restaurant. 6 pages of photos, interviews, glowing praise. The article mentioned she came from a restaurant family, learned from her parents, always knew she wanted to create something special. One quote from her: "My brother tried the restaurant business too, but he didn't have the dedication. I learned from watching his mistakes. Success requires sacrifice and commitment." My parents were quoted too. "Dad, we always knew Emily had what it takes. We're so proud of what she's accomplished." No mention of my 12 years at the family restaurant. No mention of Ember and Oak. I'd been erased from the family narrative completely. Emily's table got nominated for a regional new restaurant award. The nomination party photos flooded social media. Emily, in a designer dress. My parents beaming beside her. The whole extended family celebrating. I wasn't invited. Nobody mentioned my absence. I stopped answering calls from old friends. Stopped checking social media, unless absolutely necessary. Jake worried about me. I could see it in his face. I was sleeping 12 hours a day on my days off, barely eating, going through the motions at the dish station. One night in September, I was scrolling through Emily's table's Instagram during a break at work. They'd posted my rosemary lamb dish. The photo was beautiful, professional, made my recipe look like fine art. The caption read, "Chef Emily's signature lamb with black garlic reduction. A dish inspired by her Italian grandmother's traditional recipes, reimagined for the modern palate. My grandmother, my recipe, my technique. Emily claiming it as hers. Something inside me broke, then hardened. I was done being the victim, done letting them win, done accepting that this was just how things were. I didn't know how yet, but I was going to fight back. September 23rd, a Sunday. My phone rang with my parents' number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Damon, it's your mother. We'd like you to come to dinner tonight. 6 o'clock. "Why?" "Because we're family. Can't we want to see our son?" I should have said no, should have stayed away. But part of me, the part that still remembered being their son before all this, that part wanted to believe they'd finally seen the truth. I arrived at 6:15. Cars lined the street outside their house. This wasn't a quiet family dinner. I walked in to find 20 people, extended family, everyone dressed up. A banner hung in the dining room. "Congratulations, Emily, Regional Restaurant Award winner." Emily's table had won. Of course they had. Everyone congratulated Emily as I stood in the doorway. Aunts, uncles, cousins, I hadn't seen in 2 years. They fawned over her, asked about the restaurant, praised her talent. I might as well have been invisible. Uncle Ron finally noticed me. "Damon, hey, what are you doing these days?" Before I could answer, Emily cut in from across the room. Oh, Damon's between things. Still figuring himself out. Laughter from some cousins. My face burned. Dinner was torture. 45 minutes of listening to Emily's success story. How she'd always dreamed of opening a restaurant. How she'd studied hard at culinary school. How the community had embraced her vision. I pushed food around my plate and said nothing. After dessert, my parents asked me to stay. Everyone else filtered out, hugging Emily, promising to visit the restaurant soon. Then it was just the four of us in the living room. Mom smiled. We've been talking. We feel bad about how things turned out between us. I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they were finally going to acknowledge what they'd done. Maybe this was an apology. Dad leaned forward. Emily's table is expanding. Opening a second location in Vancouver, Washington. It's a big opportunity. The hope died. We want to offer you a position, Mom continued. Assistant manager. $40,000 a year. Benefits. Steady work. I made more than that washing dishes when you calculated hourly overtime. For a salaried management position at a busy restaurant, I'd be working 80 hours a week for poverty wages. Emily smiled. It's generous, honestly. You'd be working under me, reporting directly to me. But I'd teach you how to really run a restaurant, how to handle staff, manage inventory, deal with customers. All the things you struggled with at Ember and Oak. My parents nodded encouragingly. You could learn from your sister's success, Dad said. Swallow your pride. This is a good opportunity for someone in your position. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Text from Jake. Check your email right now. Important. Excuse me, I need to use the bathroom. In the bathroom, I opened my email. One new message from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line. Thought you should know the truth. I opened it. Attached files, dozens of them. Financial records, private message screenshots, corporate documents. I started reading, my heart pounding. Emily's table was failing. Losing money every month despite the crowds, despite the press, despite the award. The profit and loss statements showed massive losses. My parents had poured over $400,000 into keeping it afloat. Loans, cash infusions, covering payroll when revenue fell short. The private messages were worse. A text chain between Emily and our parents, dated back to March. Emily. Need to shut down Damon's place. He's taking our target customers. Dad. Already working on buying the building. We'll force him out. More messages about the fake reviews. About the credit card fraud. About spreading rumors to restaurant managers. Everything documented. Time-stamped, proven. The anonymous sender's note at the bottom. I'm Emily's assistant manager. She treats everyone terribly. You deserve to know the truth. These are copies. I kept the originals safe. She doesn't know I sent this. I stood there, staring at my phone, everything clicking into place. They hadn't just chosen Emily. They'd systematically destroyed me to prop her up, and now they wanted me to save her failing restaurant for $40,000 a year. I walked back to the living room. My family looked at me expectantly. I need to ask you something, I said. Are you offering me this job because Emily's table is hemorrhaging money? The room went silent. Mom and Dad exchanged glances. Emily's face went pale. Where did you hear that? Dad's voice was sharp. Our finances are none of your business, but they're my business when you committed fraud against me to help her. I held up my phone. I have everything. The fake reviews, the credit card you opened in my name, the messages planning how to force me out, all of it. Mom started crying. Dad stood up, his face red. Emily found her voice. You can't prove anything. Those are fake. Someone's trying to set me up. They're time-stamped. They have metadata. A lawyer could verify authenticity in an hour. You destroyed my credit, bought my building, sabotaged my business. Stole my recipes. All documented. Dad moved toward me. Think about what you're doing. Think about family. We made mistakes, yes, but destroying us won't help you. You destroyed me first. Emily's turn now, switching from defense to offense. You release those files. I'll sue you for everything. My lawyer will crush you. You'll lose whatever pathetic little life you've built. I looked at them, really looked at them. My mother crying but not apologizing. My father angry at being caught, not remorseful for what he'd done. My sister threatening me instead of admitting the truth. They still didn't understand what they'd done wrong. They were only scared of consequences. "You want me to work for you?" I asked. "To save Emily's failing restaurant with my labor, my ideas, my skills, after you destroyed mine?" "We're family," Mom said through tears. "Family forgives." "No. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rebuild. And this time, I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of people you are." I walked toward the door. Emily screamed after me, "You're nothing without us. You'll always be nothing." I got in my truck and drove back to Jake's place. For the first time in months, I didn't feel defeated. He felt determined. October 1st, I sat across from a lawyer in a small office downtown. The consultation cost $200 I couldn't spare, but I needed to know where I stood. I'd brought copies of everything: the financial documents, the messages, the proof of fraud. The lawyer, a middle-aged woman named Sandra, reviewed everything carefully. Finally, she looked up. "You have a strong civil case. Fraud, identity theft, defamation, tortious interference with business relationships. Potentially criminal charges, too. But Damon, litigation like this takes years and costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. How much just to file? For everything? You'd need at least $50,000 up front just to get started. And that's if nothing unexpected happens, which it always does." I didn't have $50,000. I didn't have $5,000. "My advice," Sandra continued, "document everything. Keep these files safe, and use them as leverage if you need to. But be careful. Cornered people do desperate things." I thanked her and left. No lawsuit then. Just the knowledge that I had the truth, if I ever needed it. Late October, I was at Jake's place, applying for more jobs I wouldn't get, when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Damon Martin, the chef who owned Ember and Oak?" "Yes." "Who's this?" "My name is Jennifer Hayes. I'm a restaurant investor based in Seattle. Can we talk?" She explained she'd been following Portland's food scene, had read the original positive reviews of Ember and Oak before it closed. She'd tried to visit, found it shuttered, started researching what happened. The fake negative reviews had seemed suspicious to her. She'd dug deeper through her industry contacts. "I know what your family did," she said. "I've seen this kind of sabotage before. I'd like to meet with you in person." 3 days later, I took a bus to Seattle. Jennifer's office was in a renovated warehouse, all glass and steel. She was 52, sharp-eyed, with the confident posture of someone who'd built empires. Her assistant brought coffee while she pulled up a presentation on her screen. "I've built 17 restaurants across the Pacific Northwest," she said. "Some I still own, some I've sold. I believe in talent and second chances. Your concept was solid. Your execution was excellent. You were sabotaged." She showed me financial projections she'd created based on my original business plan and those first 3 months of Ember and Oak's success. "I want to invest $150,000 in a new restaurant. Your restaurant. 60-40 partnership. I take 40% equity." I couldn't speak for a moment. This had to be a trick, a scam, something too good to be true. "What's the catch?" "The catch is you work harder than you ever have. You open in Portland, not somewhere safe. You face your family. You compete legitimately. And you beat them. Why? Because bullies need to lose sometimes. And because I think you're a better chef than your sister will ever be." She extended her hand. "Do we have a deal?" I shook it. Jennifer moved fast. She connected me with a commercial realtor, a contractor team, a lawyer to handle the paperwork. Within a week, we'd found a location, an abandoned brewery space with good bones, perfect for what I envisioned. Then she dropped the timeline. "I want you open by mid-December. Peak holiday season. Establish your name before the new year. That's 6 weeks away. Can you do it?" I thought about everything I'd lost, everything they'd taken from me. Yes. The contractor team started work immediately. The space needed massive renovations, new plumbing, electrical upgrades, a complete kitchen build-out. They worked 12-hour days while I finalized the menu, designed the space, handled permits and licenses. The hardest part was finding staff. I reached out to experienced chefs, servers, bartenders. My reputation still preceded me. Emily's lies still echoed through the industry. Most people wouldn't even take my calls. I ended up with a team of misfits. Paige, 32 years old, a talented chef coming back from a career-ending hand injury that had healed. She'd been out of the industry for 18 months. Nobody would give her a chance. Trevor and Sarah, culinary school students who needed real experience. Max, a 63-year-old career server who'd been laid off and couldn't find work because of his age. Scott, a recovering alcoholic, 6 months sober, trying to rebuild his life as a bartender. None of them were my first choice. All of them were hungry, grateful, and hard-working. We bonded over being underestimated. 2 weeks before opening, disaster struck. The contractor found major electrical code violations hidden behind the walls. Previous owner had done unpermitted work, created fire hazards. Fixing it properly would cost $70,000 and add 3 weeks to the timeline. Jennifer flew down from Seattle. We stood in the gutted space, exposed wires hanging, the smell of sawdust and disappointment thick in the air. "We can't open mid-December," I said. "I'm sorry." She looked around, thinking, what if we open mid-January instead? People break holiday habits in January. They're looking for new places, new experiences. January might actually be better. She was right. We pushed the opening, used the extra time to perfect every detail. I created a menu that told my story, dishes that honored my Italian heritage without copying my family's restaurant. The rosemary lamb stayed, my grandmother's recipe, my technique. Let Emily serve her version. Mine would be better. December came. Emily's table had a huge holiday season according to their social media. Packed every night. Special tasting menus, private parties. I watched from outside, working on my own place, trusting the process. Mid-December, Emily showed up at my construction site. I was reviewing plans with the contractor when she walked in, my parents behind her. "You're making a mistake," she said. "No greeting, no preamble. This investor is going to lose everything. You're going to fail again." I kept my voice level. "You need to leave. This is private property." Dad stepped forward. "Why do you have to compete with your sister? Why can't you do something else? Open a restaurant in Seattle or California, anywhere but here. Because this is my city too, and because she stole my concept first." Emily laughed, the sound harsh in the empty space. "You're going to fail. This neighborhood can't support 2 upscale restaurants. People have already chosen. They've chosen Emily's table." Mom tried a different approach, her voice pleading. "Please, Damon. Stop this vendetta. You're embarrassing the family. People are talking. Let them talk. When you fail this time," Emily said, heading for the door, "don't come crawling back. You're on your own." They left. I stood there, surrounded by sawdust and possibility, and got back to work. January 15th arrived cold and clear. Opening night at Meridian. I'd named it that after weeks of deliberation, Jennifer helping me workshop ideas. A meridian is a turning point, a line that divides one phase from another. It felt right. The restaurant looked beautiful. Industrial chic design, exposed brick, an open kitchen where customers could watch us work. I'd wanted transparency, wanted people to see that we had nothing to hide. The menu was focused, 12 entrees, each one representing something important to me. 6 o'clock, the first reservations arrived. My hands shook as I plated the first dishes. Paige worked beside me, steady and calm. "You've got this," she whispered. By 8 o'clock, we were full. 73 covers that first night. The kitchen hummed with focused energy. Orders came in, dishes went out, customers smiled. I heard laughter from the dining room, the clink of glasses, the sound of people enjoying themselves. Jordan Chen, the food blogger who'd given Ember and Oak its first good review, came in during week 2. I didn't know he was there until he was leaving. He shook my hand at the door. "Welcome back, Damon. I'm going to write about this." His article posted 3 days later. The headline read, "Phoenix Rising, Damon Martin's redemption story." He detailed everything: the sabotage, the family betrayal, the fake reviews, the systematic destruction of Ember and Oak. He'd done his research, interviewed the anonymous assistant manager from Emily's table, pulled public records, verified everything. He didn't name Emily directly, but everyone in the industry knew. The article went viral. 20,000 shares on social media within 48 hours. Comments flooded in, overwhelmingly supportive. This is why we support independent restaurants. Family loyalty doesn't mean enabling abuse. Going to Meridian this weekend to support this guy. Our reservation book filled up. 6 weeks out, then 8, then 10. We were turning people away. Jennifer called, thrilled. "You're exceeding projections by 40%. Emily's table faced sudden scrutiny. Food critics who'd praised it 9 months ago revisited. They found the quality had declined. Marcus had quit in December. I'd heard through the grapevine. Without him, without my recipes executed properly, the food wasn't the same. Reviews mentioned inconsistency, dishes that didn't live up to the hype. Customers started recognizing that Emily's signature dishes were stolen from me. Social media posts compared her menu to old Ember and Oak photos. Why is she serving someone else's recipe? This is literally Damon's lamb dish. I had it at his old place. February 12th, I arrived at Meridian for morning prep and saw the news. Emily's table announced on Instagram, closed temporarily for renovations. We look forward to serving you again soon. Everyone in the industry knew what that meant. They weren't coming back. March 7th, a Tuesday afternoon, my parents walked into Meridian during lunch service. I saw them through the kitchen window, looking older somehow, smaller. Emily wasn't with them. They asked to speak privately. We went to my office, a tiny room in back with just enough space for a desk. Mom's eyes were red. We lost the restaurant, Martino's. Had to sell it to cover Emily's debts. The family business, 35 years, gone. Dad looked at his hands. We made terrible mistakes. We're sorry, Damon. We're so sorry. I'd imagined this moment during the worst days, imagined them groveling, imagined feeling vindicated. But sitting there, looking at my parents broken and ashamed, I mostly felt sad. Sad for what we could have been, sad for the years we'd wasted, sad that it had come to this. "Where's Emily?" I asked. "California, Los Angeles. She left 2 months ago. Wants to start over where nobody knows her." "Does she know you're here?" Mom shook her head. "She's not speaking to us. Blames us for not giving her enough support. Even now, Emily couldn't take responsibility." "Can you forgive us?" Mom asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. Didn't mean pretending it never happened. Didn't mean letting them back into my life like nothing had changed. "I forgive you," I said finally. "But I can't forget. And I can't have you in my life right now. Maybe someday, but not now." Dad nodded slowly. "We understand. Your restaurant. It's beautiful. You did it right. Everything we should have supported the first time." They left. I watched them walk to their car, 2 people who'd chosen wrong and lost everything because of it. 6 months later, August, Meridian was thriving. We'd been featured in Bon Appetit, named one of the top 10 new restaurants in the Pacific Northwest. Jennifer was already talking about a second location. My team had grown, Paige now executive chef, creating her own dishes alongside mine. A figure appeared at the bar one evening during service. Marcus, my old chef, the one who'd taken my recipes to Emily's table. He looked nervous, defeated. I walked over. "Marcus, hey Damon, can we talk?" We sat at a corner table. He couldn't meet my eyes. "I owe you an apology, a real one. I sold you out for money. I took your recipes, your techniques, everything you taught me, and I gave it to her, for a paycheck. You needed to support your family. That doesn't make it right. I've been blacklisted since Emily's table closed. Nobody will hire me. They all know what I did. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I was wrong." We sat in silence for a moment. The dinner rush hummed around us. I thought about second chances, about the team I'd built from people nobody else wanted. "I'm not hiring right now," I said. He nodded, started to stand. "But I'm opening a second location in November. I could use someone with your experience." Marcus stopped. "Seriously? Everyone deserves a second chance, even people who don't think they deserve one." He had tears in his eyes. "Thank you." September 19th. An envelope arrived at the restaurant. No return address. Postmark San Diego. Inside, a handwritten letter on plain paper. "Damon, I destroyed you because I was jealous. You were always better, and everyone knew it except our parents. I convinced them otherwise because I needed to believe I deserved their faith. I'm sorry for what I did. You earned everything you have. I never did. Emily." No signature, no return address, no request for forgiveness or reconciliation. Just acknowledgement, just truth. I folded the letter and put it in my desk drawer. That evening, service at Meridian was busy. Every table full, the sound of conversation and laughter filling the space. Jennifer stopped by, raising a glass of wine. To second chances, I looked around the restaurant. At Paige in the kitchen, confident now, teaching a new line cook. At Mac serving a table, making an older couple laugh with a story. At Scott behind the bar, 18 months sober, mixing a perfect cocktail. At the customers enjoying food I'd created, in a space I'd built, with a team that believed in me. This was mine. Not because someone gave it to me, because I'd built it, because I'd refused to quit when everything said I should, because I'd turned betrayal into determination, failure into fuel. I thought about the kid I'd been at 16, working at my family's restaurant, dreaming of the day they'd recognize my talent. I thought about standing outside that window on Thanksgiving, watching them give everything to Emily. I thought about losing Ember and Oak, about washing dishes at 2 in the morning, about my girlfriend leaving, about my sister's face when she told me I'd always be nothing. They'd all underestimated me. My family most of all. People will underestimate you. Sometimes the people closest to you will try to tear you down. Family doesn't always mean support. Blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. You'll face betrayal from places you never expected. People you trust will steal from you, lie about you, sabotage you. Success doesn't always mean winning. It means not letting them make you quit. It means proving to yourself, not them, what you're capable of. I learned that being chosen by others matters less than choosing yourself. Their validation, their approval, their recognition, none of it matters if you don't believe in your own worth. They thought I'd fail. Maybe I did, the first time. But failure isn't falling down. It's staying down. And I refused to stay down. Family always chose my sister. They underestimated my future. In the end, I didn't need them to choose me. I chose myself. And that made all the difference. So here's my question for you. Have you ever been underestimated by the people who were supposed to believe in you most? Have you faced betrayal from family, from people you trusted, from those who should have supported your dreams? How did you fight back? How did you prove them wrong? Or are you still fighting, still working to show the world what you're capable of? Drop your story in the comments below. I want to hear about your battles, your comebacks, your victories. Let's build a community of people who refuse to stay down. And if this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt overlooked or underestimated, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories of resilience and redemption. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's possible to rebuild after everything falls apart. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community. I hope wherever you are in your journey, whether you're at your lowest point or celebrating your comeback, you remember this. You are not defined by who chose you. You're defined by how you chose yourself. Keep fighting, keep building, keep proving them wrong. Your success is the best response to doubt. Your resilience is the best revenge. Until next time, choose yourself. Always choose yourself.